All right, I invite you, friends, to take a moment just to arrive here in the space, arrive in your own skin, and let go of anything you don't need, any other distractions, whatever you're thinking about or doing before, or whatever you're worried about later in the day. Just be here with us right now. Um, and I invite you to bring your attention to the breath, just noticing it going in and out of the body. No need to do or be more than you are. And with that same ease, I invite you to bring some of that same kind attention to your heart, just noticing what's moving in you right now. No need to go into story or change it. Just acknowledging honestly to yourself, how am I doing right now? And see what answer lives in the body. And then as a simple small gesture for entering this circle together, where we get to talk about music. Such a treat. In gratitude and generosity, together we enter the circle with a bow. Awesome. So please join me in welcoming Jo Elise, who has released all kinds of music and worked on all kinds of projects, but specifically is here to share with us a couple of tunes from her latest EP, Iridescent Nature, which if you haven't heard it yet, you're in for a real treat. It's a delightful, delightful journey. But maybe let's just get started with where do you get inspiration, Joe, and how do you start working on a tune? And specifically, maybe you can talk about that generally and or get into the first tune that you want to share with us right away.
Sure thing. Yeah, and thank you for having me here to talk about the behind the scenes. It's very exciting to be able to talk in such detail, and I'm really excited to be here with you all. I was thinking about where do I find inspiration? Because often if you're writing music, it's sometimes a bit of a you'll get a flash of something, you'll hear something, see something, and kind of run to it. But I was thinking about this on a bit of a broader level, and what inspires me to write and record. And I think the phrase that I came across is it's for me, it's about sonic world building. So yeah, as mentioned, I grew up in New Zealand, and in the early 2000s, and Lord of the Rings was a big deal in New Zealand. Filmed there and really became kind of part of the psyche of New Zealanders for a long while. Um, and and I think in the same way that Tolkien has built a very elaborate world that people love, the stories that people love, the landscapes, living in New Zealand is also very reminiscent of that. It's a very immersive place to live. The access to nature is ridiculously easy, and it's not just access, it's also a very profound sense of awe and like it's a very breathtaking landscape, regardless of whether you're in the North Island or down in the South Island. There's rainforest, there's mountains, there's glaciers, there's lakes, there's ocean. So I think that's had quite a big effect on my songwriting. And so now when I'm listening to music, the things I really pay attention to are the way that the lyrics kind of provide you with a sense of place. And yeah, I really love textural details that evoke a sense of the feeling of the person, the place, and the story that the song is about. As like a few examples, of artists that I love who I think do this really well are like Joni Mitchell does this, and then there's some British songwriters. One's a guy called Shaka, a guy called Ben Howard, um, and then some like um, more like neo soul R&B musicians like Snow Allegra or Hiatus Coyote. Really push the cinematic soul to the nth degree. Yeah, so maybe I can talk a little bit about what inspired actually writing this EP. Um,
Yeah, please.
yeah, because prior to this, I'd been performing live for many years. Um, I had released a few singles, most of which were instrumental. Like I really love like writing quite meditative music or music to like paint to. So uh, at the start of 2021, I was in London. I just moved to London. Um, Obviously, the pandemic is still very much happening, and so I was like, well, I've got so much time indoors. I think it's time to work on a bigger project. So I decided I'm going to create and record and produce a four-track EP. Um, and really hone these skills that I've been using the last couple of years to try create a bit of a body of work and try create a bit of a like narrative arc. I love a concept album. I love when there's a bit of a through thread between songs and stories. And so decided just to start writing and committed to it pretty quickly and was very confident it would take me no more than 6 months to finish the EP. But it actually took a couple of years because I think there's a difference between writing a song. You can, like, I don't find it challenging to write songs, but producing them and then also mixing them and getting just the right sound is a whole other skill set, which, yeah, was really exciting to build and also took time. Yeah, so maybe I'll dive into the first kind of rough sketches for the song called Darling Harbour.
That would be
Um,
great. And I'll just remind folks that are on the call, if you have questions, jot them down, because we'll make sure to get some time to answer them, or you can even post them in the chat. But we'll let Joe share some music first before we get too into answering them. But feel free to make sure you grab them.
okay. Um, cool. So, um, as you might be able to see, there's a long stack of playlists, but I'm gonna start with basically what I did. Actually, let me start that sentence again. So in my songwriting process, when it came to recording, for most of these songs, I'd already written the song, and I had like an acoustic demo I'd recorded on my phone or like in Logic, and so I wasn't coming to Logic trying to like workshop song ideas as I was going. I was trying to like go, well, this is this song, and what am I going to do with it? And so each time I kind of worked on the songs, every like 2 to 3 months, I would bounce out what I'd done so far and then save them in one of these playlists. But I'm not going to take you through every single version. I'm just going to start with so I started this project in March 2021, and so we're going to dive in August 2021. Also, the working titles that I had um, are different to the release names of the songs. So the release name is Darling Harbour, but the like scratch title that I had was Dear Andy. So I'm going to play you a little bit of it and then talk through um, what I was thinking about during this process.
Love feels different when you're with someone who thinks you're beautiful. coincidence. Falling in love isn't hard when you trust that they hide, like the person you already are. Falling in love isn't hard when you want to be where they are, and time unravels like you were never apart.
So, as you can probably hear there, I had quite an atmospheric guitar lead line, which was very heavily inspired by another artist called Snow Allegra. And I was kind of playing around with, like, you know, the earlier iterations of the song felt quite melancholy. As you can probably hear again in the production choices, like, it's quite empty, it's quite open. And then also in the chorus, there's these backing vocal swells, which kind of swoop up as the melody ends. So next, I'm just gonna look at my notes for which one is next. Okay, I'm gonna switch to a Logic file now. The problem was that I was sorry, I can't think and do two things at the same time. Okay, here we go. The problem was that I felt like it was too empty. I also felt like with the lyrics, it was actually kind of like the lyrics all about, like, love feels different, and the contrast between experiencing you know, dating someone who you feel like a real openness and connection and trust with. And I was like, it sounds too sad. So how am I going to solve this? And so this next version of the track, I was really focused on, like, how can I add a bit more depth? How can I add a bit more of that, like, sparkle, like that kind of mystery of love feeling, where it's a little bit mysterious, but it's ultimately a positive thing, not a pining thing. I'm very good at writing songs that are melancholy, so I was like, right, let's try and move away from that. Challenge myself to get into something a bit different. So I'm just going to unmute the lead vocals. Okay, and so this is iteration number 2.
Love feels different when you're with someone who thinks you're beautiful from the start. Love feels different when it's mutual interest and the words flow like they're redundant. Opening up isn't hard when you trust that they hide, like the person you already are. Falling in love isn't hard when you want to be where they are, and time unravels like you were never apart.
So as you can kind of hear, like, there's a bit more of a groove and a feel to it. I'm gonna try find all the layers. So I think at this stage, yeah, I'd like dropped in some percussion, and it's still quite simple, but it just feels like it has a bit more groove and a bit more movement to it. What else? I also introduced some of these like pads and kind of electric piano sounds. And and I can hear that there's a sound
Something
playing.
else is
I'm
going.
gonna mute that. It's one of my plugins. And what else? Oh yeah, and then these, I'm just gonna highlight the backing vocals here, because they're from the original, the previous version we just listened to. And I, yeah, just really wanted to keep them. Because there was something about them where I was like, oh, this has the feeling that I'm trying to capture in this song, which I think is, now I would be able to describe it as like a little bit atmospheric, a bit textural, and a bit yeah, maybe a little bit ethereal. So I liked this, but as I was working on it, as you can see, like I really continued to flesh out the rest of it. I still felt like it was didn't have quite the energy that I wanted. Like it's not a fast upbeat track, but it's still, I was like, oh, it feels a little bit like it's dragging. And like so my process for production, I'll go zoom out a little bit, is I tend to start with laying down some kind of harmonic bass. So typically this is guitar, even if there's no guitar on the final track, I'll use like acoustic or electric guitar. And I also like to start with my first track in the recording to be a real instrument, whether it's my voice, whether it's guitar or bass, just so that I'm not starting with a MIDI instrument, which I personally find it feels a little bit hard to like layer on top of MIDI, because it doesn't have as many interesting kind of tones and qualities. So start with harmonic, then I'll start to build the groove and the feel around that. And then from there, I'm adding more harmonic layers. It could be vocals, or it could be, you know, piano, pads, violin. And then vocals are typically the last thing to do. I have, over the years, really learnt that, like sometimes I've recorded a vocal idea and like, you know, into my microphone, my laptop microphone, or like I've not been wearing headphones. I've just kind of been like, oh, here's the idea I'm going to capture really quickly, and then had to spend like hours and hours trying to recreate the like that very raw kind of feeling that you get when you're just singing off the cuff. So I'm very strict with myself now. If I'm going to sing something, I have to put my real, like plug my real mic in, or at the very least wear headphones so I can isolate it and like clean it up later. So yeah, so I was like, I really like the production on this. It's going in the direction that I want. But every time I sang the vocals, as you can see, I've got lots of different takes, lots of different versions. I was like, it feels physically in my body, it was feeling heavy to sing, like kind of like my voice was singing through mud. And I could feel like a physical weight as I was trying to record. And I was like, this is not producing a good sound, a good tone. So what can I do to reshape it and to try bring in more of that energy, so that vocally I'm responding to what I'm hearing, and it's and I'm getting like better vocal takes. So I'm gonna open up a new file. called it's called the mixing file new May 2024. Classic.
New.
um
I just, as this is opening, I want to compliment you. It's really inspiring to see how courageous you are in letting go of old versions already. I'm like,
mm,
sometimes it's so easy to get, for me anyway, to get attached to. Like, oh, that's really good, you know? Really good
mhm.
is the enemy of of what you're actually aiming for. So love seeing this process.
Yeah, I like that perspective because for me I feel like it's a bit of a bad habit. Where I'm
Interesting.
like, I'll have six versions of a song, six different arrangements, and then I'm like, oh crap, I don't know which one I should be focusing on now. But yeah, so this is these layers are what got bounced and sent to the mixing engineer that I worked with. Um, so I think I might, yeah, let's do the same as what we did before. I'll show you the first verse and the chorus, and then we can dive a bit deeper into some of the specific features. Oop. Give me 1 second, get that metronome off.
Love feels different when you're with someone who thinks you're beautiful from the start. Love feels different when it's mutual interest and the words flow like they're does. Falling in love isn't hard when you trust that they're hard, like the person you already are. Opening up isn't hard when you want to be where they are. And time unravels like you were never apart. Love feels different when you want to kiss them, 'cause you feel safe lying in their arms. Love feels
Okay, so yeah, it's a little different, right? Firstly, there's no percussion. I completely cut out the percussion. Because I realized, I think I think the previous version was like 73, 74 beats per minute. This version is 82 beats per minute. And I realized that alongside slightly nudging the tempo up, to bring that energy, it was also about like the choices of how I was playing, the instruments. So I'm just going to highlight the piano to start with. So yeah, it's kind of like, again, to kind of capture that more ethereal, like dreamy, shimmery feel. As the instruments that I'm playing, the parts I'm playing, they need to be less like on the beat. And I think in the previous version, I liked the beat, but it was like it was sitting too heavily on like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like it was like I couldn't escape that. And as well, the melody, let me just think about this in my head. Yeah, the melody hits and like emphasizes the downbeats really strongly as well. So I think when the melody is obviously central to the song, and then the production around it was all also landing heavily on downbeats, that's what was making it feel like it was kind of plodding rather than floating. So yeah, so I created these piano parts. What did I do with these guitars? I think it's quite basic, but just kind of doing a mixture of like arpeggiating and doing a little bit of finger picking as well. In the second verse, because there's no percussion, I was like, right, we've got to do something to to add in more rhythmic interest. So this is where I just kind of did like a I don't even know what to call it. I'll just play it. This is like a pulse of each chord. And I think as well because it's the chords have like a little bit of a jazzy flavor. It works quite well to do that kind of comping style. What was the other thing that I wanted to show? Oh yes. So I'm a really big fan of adding in quite atmospheric like samples and field recordings. And so for this particular song, like each of the songs from this EP feature sounds from the places where the story of the song took place. And so yeah, in this section I have I've got the sound of walking along South Bank, which is in central London. It's going to be very, very quiet. So super subtle. It's just me walking down the river and doing as everyone did during COVID, which is walk along the Thames. But just adding a little bit of like, again, it's all about, for me, it's about adding texture. This, I don't remember what this is. Let's find out. So I think this is probably down at the seaside. So there's probably a few like bird calls in there. And then this, I believe, is a sound from a forest, like a forest area that I used to live in called Lane Cove. So again, these are really like really low in the mix. They're super subtle, but at the point of the song where they're coming in, it's everything kind of drops really softly. And it's in the I think it's in the bridge that they come in. So I'll just play that and see.
But you see me so clearly in the dark. Colors in me I never knew I sparked. Falling in love isn't hard.
So yeah, it was like there's this moment of the song on the bridge where I was like dropping it right back to just voices, a few backing vocals. But you know, in order for that stop before the chorus to work, you need to have a contrast and you can't just go from nothing to nothing. So adding in those textures really helped to have that feeling of pause before the final chorus. Yeah, I'm wondering if there are any specific questions to this track before maybe we listen to like the final mixed version.
I mean, kind of that's my hunch. Mark already put in a great question, but it has more to do, I think, with the whole journey. I would love to get to that final version if you're ready.
Yeah, sure thing. Let
So good.
me, do you have it or I also have it?
Oh, I was hoping do you have
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that'd be the best. Yeah.
and I will Um,
Ah, gotcha. Because you're not playing from the final master. So if we want to go back, that's the version we just saw is the one we would ask questions about in the DAW.
yes.
Okay,
So
great.
what I'm about to play is like the mastered
Yeah, okay. That makes good
track.
sense. Is it possible to hear that one and see the other one?
Oh,
Is that too
yes,
much to
yes.
ask?
Um, let me do that. Um,
Like see maybe the zoomed out parts of at least where the regions are and things, you know.
for sure. Um, okay. Let's see how quickly I can do this.
Love feels different when you're with someone who thinks you're beautiful from the start. Love feels different when it's mutual interest and the words flow like they're a dance. Falling in love isn't hard when you trust that they're hard, like the person you already are. Opening up isn't hard when you want to be where they are, and time unravels like you were never apart. Love feels different when you want to kiss them, 'cause you feel safe lying in their arms. Love feels different when you're thinking of them, and it makes you smile from afar. Falling in love isn't hard when you trust that they're hard, like the person you already are. Opening up isn't hard when you want to be where they are, and time unravels like you were never apart. You see me so clearly in the dark. Colors in me I never knew I sparked. Falling in love isn't hard when you trust that they're hard, like the person you already are. Opening up isn't hard when you want to be where they are, and time unravels like you were never apart.
Ooh, yeah. Such a great tune, such a great production. Really good. Okay, let's if you're game, let's start in with Mark's question here. Are you seeing that in the chat there?
I have not.
Mark, do you mind just sharing your question out loud? It's a good one.
My question was, when did or do you know, like for this song, when did you know it was done production wise? Was it an analytical thing where you really matched the idea that's been in your head, or more just of a feeling? Or did you have a self-imposed deadline? And then I've got a second part to the question after that.
Yeah, awesome. That's such a good question. Um, I think there were two stages. So one was I set a hard deadline, and by which I mean I booked studio time to record the vocals with a friend of mine. Um, and I ended up not being able to make the session because he's in a different country, and flights got cancelled and all of that kind of stuff. But having that deadline of like I have to go into the studio with like a something that I'm singing to, and once I've sung it, we've laid down the tracks, we're not making big structural changes to the song, meant that I got it done. I was like, right, I am committing to this being the structure of this song. I'm committing to, like, in the bridge, I'm only singing it once, which part of me regrets. I'm like, maybe I should repeat it, but make all of those choices, all those stylistic decisions, arrangement decisions. I was like, I'm choosing it and I'm just going to go with it. And then whatever happens after that, so be it. And then the second part of it, because I ended up recording the vocals at home, because of the cancellations and all of that, was more around like, I think I sang I set aside an afternoon to sing through the lyrics and track the vocals. Um, and I was like, right, I'm gonna pick a different prompt for myself each time I sing it. So for me, like, I'm a very visual person, so I'm like, this time I'm gonna sing it like it's a wash of paint. Or this time I'm gonna sing it and I'm really gonna like emphasize specific words. Like, I literally highlighted key lyrics and was like, I'm gonna follow the cadence of those. And then I listened back to it and was like, which one feels right? Um, and then and I knew that the song was like done. It's like, as in I'm willing to let it go. When I listened back to the song with the vocal takes that I'd chosen, and was like, oh, I feel something. And not just I feel something, but I feel what I set out. I feel the feeling that I set out to recreate. Because the story is, about the magic of meeting someone. So I'm like, oh, after I listen, I'm feeling some of that like sparkle, that shimmer in the air. And so I was like, okay, that's close enough to done for me. I'm ready to like begin the next stage, which is, exporting stems and getting someone else to put their creative ears to it.
Cool. And quickly, what do you have any tricks or techniques or things you can share as experience of when you're working on something for so long, not to burn out on it or not to just get totally tired of it and start hating the song?
Yeah, amen. Yeah, the struggle with that, not burning out on a song. So I think there's a couple of things that I stumbled across. Because I've spent about 4 years in total on these songs for
Wow.
various reasons. Um, but I realized I'm not going to spend more than 90 minutes at a time on a track, like in production mode. Because after 90 minutes, it's like my ears lose reference of what the song actually sounds like. So I can take a break and then I can come back to it. But after 90 minutes, I'm not making accurate decisions anymore. I'm getting really lost. So I have to go listen to something else, go be in a different room to the room I'm recording in or producing in. So that's a tip, like setting like a time limit for yourself, and then you have to go take a break, and then making sure your ears don't acclimatize too much. Um, the other thing was the other thing that I found really helpful is um really trying to pick a goal for either a session or for the song and go, what am I trying to get out of this or trying to achieve? So, like, when I realized with this particular song that I was trying to recreate a feeling, it completely changed all the choices that I made in production, and the arrangement as well. And then that's what led to like this me being happy with this version. So, but sometimes it's like, oh, I wanna like record a track and I want it to be something really like fun that I can play over, like as an instrumentalist, or I want it to feel groovy. Or I want the story to come through really loud and clear. Like, the goal can be whatever you want it to be, but picking like one kind of focus it helps hone your decision making, because I think the burnout comes from when you're like I have an endless palette and maybe endless time, hypothetically, you know, could work on one song for like 90 years. So trying to introduce reasonable time limits, and also like something to focus your attention and your decision making. Those are the two things that have been like most helpful.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
That was great. I saw a bunch of people writing down notes in that one. Joan, you posted before we got this answer, a question. It seems similar. Do you feel like your question is answered, or do you want to ask?
Well, I think my question is answered, but I really would like to acknowledge you for the balance of left-right brain. You put a timer on, but you go by how you're feeling too. And I think I get caught more in the right brain piece. So I really like that you use a timer. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. I think that is such an interesting observation,
Yeah.
because I think I feel most frustrated when I'm songwriting if I'm stuck in right brain. No, which one's the which one's
Left
the taskmaster?
left brain is
Left brain.
concrete.
Yeah. So trying to try not to systemize things too much.
Thank you.
That's great. I have a question. Maybe somebody will follow me here. I heard you say, I jotted down the words atmospheric, textural, ethereal, and we've of course talked before about the sound of your EP. Like, of all the infinite possibilities for how this song could have sounded, we heard a couple. But at what point or how did you start to organize around this is the sound of a cohesive EP, or something that feels like it's the center of my artist voice today that I want to put forward?
Or maybe I can show you a track very quickly,
Great.
which I think was kind of the anchor point for the rest of the EP. Because I think that will help me answer the question in the best way possible. So I wrote this song very quickly, and it's a very simple concept. There is a violin. The violin plays this one note the entire song, and then what I did is I just sang over top of it. And these are the original vocals, which caused me no endless amounts of problems because they weren't recorded cleanly. But I'll just give you a sense of like, this is how I wrote this song originally. So just vocals and this violin.
I was wrong, but not blind. I looked you in the eyes and saw a man I liked.
And I found that there was something in the song where I was like, this is hitting a feeling, but also a sound. And I think because violin is quite, for me, is a very like emotional instrument. I think people who play violin are able to really tap into emotions in such a beautiful way. It's a very like visceral kind of experience, listening to a skilled violinist. And I was like, okay, so this feels really interesting, atmospheric. And there's a particular moment, as you can see in this song. This song has, I think it's about 50 to 40 different vocal layers on it. But I found it really easy to like to arrange. Um,
Was wrong, but I tried. My bravery is failing me, but not this time. I am hurt, and I will cry until my hands are ready to write reply.
so I think
Hmm.
because this song kind of just burst out, it um it highlighted to me that what I really wanted were songs that felt super expansive, like when you have those vocal harmony stacks, or at the end where there's just kind of a swirl of harmonies going on, but then also kind of could come back to a really simple, very like clean kind of space where it's just instrument and voice. And so I think when I realized that in producing this track, I was like, how can I how can I record tracks that feel full and rich but never lose sight of the fact that it's just my voice and an instrument at the core of every song, because that's how they were written, and how can all of the songs have that sense of expansiveness, even if there's not 60 vocal layers. And so that was like the core question that kept circling around. So like we don't really have time to show the other two tracks on the EP, but it's the tension between, yeah, like the core of the song is just me singing with my guitar, and then the feelings are really expansive, and then what the EP sounds like is that in between space between those 2 points. I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yeah, that's great. That's really
uh,
good. Yeah, to have the
yeah.
one track that like unfolded in a clear way, that was
Hmm.
obvious direction or more clear direction, and then to organize around that because you had these feelings. That's really great. Yeah, and such a beautiful track too. I mean, all the songs are great. Who else is sitting on a question? You don't have to be shy. You can just ask it. Yeah, Jean-Luc, I see your hand. And then Beatty, I see you unmuted there. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, really, really great, cool productions, great sonic. Um, yeah, it's just like a beautiful world to step into, and I'm really excited to listen to the whole EP on my own time. But I have like just like a series of questions that I guess speak to what your personal definition is on some of these things. Like for example, um like what is your like definition of a song? Like when does it s- transfer from something that you're working on to something that feels completed? And like do you find yourself ever finishing lyrics in when you're in the DAW? Or is that just totally done for you? I know that you say that you have
Hmm.
like the version of the song where you've written it on guitar and whatever, but I mean, because obviously it's like I imagine some melodies might come in while you're producing or something that, maybe is kind of important to how the song functions as a song. And then just like kind of leading us to like when you actually perform this live, how does it differ from your produced versions?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so your first question was around as going from working on a song to the song being done, right? Um, yeah, I think um for part of my process, I basically need some kind of external deadline. Um, and this year I'm working on like finishing things. I have a lot of ideas and a lot of half or even like 80% finished songs, um but I think the reason why I committed to these four songs being ones that I was going to finish come hell or high water, was that the like the core idea of the song, so the feeling, and also the story of the lyrics, they were ones where I was like, I really want to sing about this and I really want to express this, so therefore I'm gonna find a way to finish it. I think if I didn't have that compelling like feeling of like I need to tell this story, then then I would have scrapped them and moved on to something else quite a while ago. Um, your second question was around, sorry, can you remind me what your second question was around?
Well, like how would you define like a song? You know what I mean? It's like for some
Hmm.
people, I've an example. Um, I've heard some people say like if they have a verse or two verses and a chorus, they feel like that can be enough of a song, and then they can, you know, put a stamp on it and move on to the next one and come back and edit. Do you feel like, do you have any sort of measure like that for when it's complete, or are you like kind of tweaking every single part possibly, including lyrics, until you send it off to mastering or mixing?
Okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm tweaking right up until the absolute last minute. Um, I think, um, there's like I can't really show you because the voice memo is like on a different device and I can't remember what it's called. It will be under a weird name as well. But um for the first song that I went through, um like the core of the song in the sense of like the theme, the ideas, most of the lyrics stayed the same. But there were like pre-versions of the song before I got to the one that I recorded, and then there were probably about like for the lyrics there'll be for that song there's like six different versions where I was like playing around with like it's really easy to write scratch lyrics, but then how do you like my concern was like it's a love song and it kind of automatically sounds a bit cheesy. So how can I rewrite it to sound less cheesy? Or like for me, I can write a verse and a chorus quite quickly, but then the second verse, how am I developing the theme a bit more? So that's always, and so then therefore I usually won't rewrite the first verse, but the chorus and the second verse will get rewritten like yeah, upwards of 10, 15 times. And particularly as well, like I think what you were saying as well, like how's it translated to performing these songs live? Unfortunately, like normally I'd write a song, maybe produce a demo, and then play it live. With these songs, there was like a 2 year window where I didn't perform live at all because of COVID. And so when it came to preparing for the launch of this EP and I was arranging songs for a live performance, I was like, these songs are actually a nightmare to sing live. And I was so annoyed with myself because I was like, they sound great. Like I've sung them naturally, but I've sung them naturally in like my basically my speaking range, which is so soft. Like it's a part of my voice that I would never typically sing on a stage in. And so suddenly these songs, I'm like, how do I like give them enough like oomph in my voice? Like, do I have to like have like transpose them up into higher keys? Like, done all sorts of weird tricks to try and like um to try and make sure that they perform live okay. And I would not do the same process again. Next time I would be like, right, I really like these songs. I think I want to release them. I have to perform it live, even if at an open mic, before I commit to it. Because otherwise, like for two of the songs, when I sing them live, I'm singing a different melody because the recorded melody, I can't sing it in a way that like it just gets lost in a room. And that's because, the nature of my voice, the nature of like acoustics. So yeah. It's a really interesting one to navigate.
That's
What is the instrumentation that you're performing with?
So at this point in time, it's just guitar and voice. Which is fine. That's like my preferred way to do it. But uh yeah, a lot these songs rely heavily on like that sonic world building, which is great because that's what the whole point of the recording was. But in a live setting, they lose some of the shimmer, I think. Um,
And so the guitar, is it usually just like live guitar? You're not doing any sort of any processing like looping or triggering or anything like that.
no, not at this
Cool.
stage.
Okay.
Yeah, I think eventually I'd like to get there, but I just haven't, I'm not familiar enough with doing that live
Yeah.
to
Uh,
trust.
I would really, I'm not sure if it's something that you have available, but if you don't have it available today, at some point, I would love to have access to just like even like a, you know, phone video of you performing this stuff live to kind of think about the big picture of it. Because it's really cool. I would love to hear that version of it as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
That
thank
is
you.
real talk, Joe. Thank you for that piece about the voice. That's good. We're already at the hour. Beatty, do you want to lob your question and then we'll wrap up here?
Yeah, just thank you so much, Jo Elise. And I was really struck with your somatic awareness and how you knew the song, it was just weighing you down and you had to find a way to lighten it up, and you certainly did. And I guess my question is, was much of it trial and error, or did you kind of know exactly what you needed to do to
Um,
lighten it up?
yeah, very much trial and error. It was at the time it was really a frustrating process because I would open up Logic, I would you know, try something new, like new tempo and add a different part, take away something, sing over it and be like, nope, still doesn't feel right. Um, but also I think it's just that is where you're learning the most, and really you're also beginning to really tune into, well, what does feel good in my body. And I think having that like my primary instrument is my voice. So being like, I have to tune into that feeling, and I can't really ignore it. So pushes me to learn. But yeah, and I think at some points I was like, well, this is really annoying, this is really frustrating, but then, I'd just be like, well, let's throw some really random things in there and see what happens, which is then when I think I began to like figure out like what felt like a big yes, what felt like a no. So yeah, yeah, trial and error.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. These are great questions. What a great conversation today. Thank you, Joe. Okay, so I know we can find you at joelise.com. Where else would people, streaming platforms, where else would you send people to follow you?
Yeah. Yes, jollies.com. On Instagram, I'm um underscore Jo Elise, JoElise, and I have a mailing list link on both my website and on Instagram if you'd like to um yeah, to hear more. I'm hoping to really share more about the process of production and songwriting this year because it's such a diverse and like intuitive process. So I would love to see you there or connect online and hear what you're making as well.
And the other exciting news, you maybe saw an email from me about Produce This, which is a little production sprint I've had coming up. A couple of you have done this with me. Um, I'm doing it again, but I'm inviting in a couple of people to play along, and Jo is one of the ones. Our good old Donovan Dorrance is going to be there, and we're actually going to do an Under the Hood with him this next week. I'll send you an announcement about that. But for Produce This, our applications are still open. So if you want to collaborate with Jo Elise on a production, such a thing is possible. Anyway, thank you so much for your time, Jo Elise. Appreciate you so much. I got so much out of this today, and I know we all did.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for all your lovely comments and your questions as well. It's been a real pleasure to show behind the scenes under the hood.
Awesome. All right, let's bow out for today. Finding the breath, ease, flashing on spaciousness. Checking in with the heart, noticing what's moving, if anything's changed there since we began. And to close out the circle for today, in gratitude, we bow. Thanks, friends. Great to see you all. Have a great rest of your day. More soon.